Good morning. Welcome again to Newswatch. I'm Michael Putney. The Yahwehs, are they a dangerous, racist cult or a genuine religion deserving of every constitutional protection? Our community has been asking that question in recent months. This morning, we're going to ask the group's founder and leader, Moses Israel, Yahweh ben Yahweh. He was born 52 years ago in Enid, Oklahoma, and raised in the fundamentalist Pentecostal church. Under the name Hulan Mitchell, he holds a master's degree in economics from Atlanta University. Also joining us for this morning, this discussion, is Dr. Marvin Dunn, a well-known psychologist, school administrator, and civic activist. And also with us is my friend and colleague here at News 4, Ed Odell, who has covered many stories involving the Yahwehs. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you all for coming. Yahweh ben Yahweh, you have been asked numerous times in recent years to submit to interviews, so let me begin by saying we're glad you're here, but we're a little surprised. Why did you agree to this interview?
First, I'd like to say that this is an exciting opportunity to present our views to the public, which have been misunderstood, and we would like to thank Channel 4 for this opportunity to express the truth. Our attorney, Ellis Rubin, suggested to us that we become open to allow the press, the community at large, to understand exactly what we're about. It's a known fact that what people don't know about and that seems to be shrouded in secrecy, they fear. So to erase some of those fears, we're here to let the broader community know exactly who we are.
All right. Ignorance breeds fear, suspicion, misunderstanding. So you're here to clear up some of those misunderstandings. What, in your view, is probably some of the greatest misunderstandings? Are you a dangerous, racist cult? Do you hate white people?
All right, that has been one of the general accusations. No, that's not the situation. What we are in opposition to is oppression and immorality. I teach and have taught from the beginning that Satan, the devil, Lucifer, was black. As a result, that part of my teaching is not printed or published or talked about. I teach that the devil is in all colors, black, brown, red, yellow, and white. And since we are brought to America as slaves in this country, and since we have been oppressed by white people in this country, it is those that are white that are oppressing us that are immoral. That's the issue. My teachings basically include morality versus immorality, as opposed to racial hatred. If you are familiar with this area, you will notice that the only real problems we've ever had in this community are from people who came among us who were black, whose skin color is black. And they're the ones who have gone out into the public and spread false rumors and false teachings about us.
All right, let me broaden this discussion now and bring in my friend and colleague, Ed Odell. Ed?
Yahweh ben Yahweh, your early pamphlets, the early things that you passed around Liberty City, where I happen to live, spoke only to the white devil, that person of that color who seemed to be doing wrong against black people. I know that you have spoken against some black people as they have abused the black race, but those early pamphlets, those early etchings that we saw on the walls out in Liberty City, spoke of the white devil. Don't you think that's where that misconception, as you call it, came from?
That's entirely possible, because the issue of black and white and the skin color game is not something that I invented or created. It's something that exists in this country, and I've had to address it. For example, there's an issue here that I think most of the people may be aware of. Here is an image that is a false image. And of course, my coming to America to reach and resurrect my people is to dispel this notion of a false image of the Son of God. It's quite apparent that my color...
The false image is the color. Is that what you're referring to?
Exactly. By this color being promoted as the Son of God and being a false image, then this causes my people to have the notion that white people are supreme, they're superior, they're God, and they have a tendency to worship them as God. And I'm here to dispel that notion.
Yet hasn't the call against that color, against the white color, hasn't that been the call that has brought most of your people, especially in the early days, into the Yahweh faith?
It was necessary. When you come to a mentally and spiritually dead people who have been robbed of the knowledge of their God, history, culture, language, name, land, it requires a great deal of dexterity to reach into the grave of such a people and resurrect them and lift them up. No one has ever been able to do this but me. I'm the only one.
You are speaking, if I may say so, as if you are the Messiah. Do you believe that you are the Son of God?
I am, in fact, Yahweh ben Yahweh in Hebrew. That means God, the Son of God in the flesh. I am the Messiah that the whole world is looking for.
When did you discover that you are a divine creature then?
I've always known that I'm a divine creature. I've known since the age of 3. My demonstrations from age 3 was centered around deliverance. Moses in Pharaoh in Egypt. So I've always known that I'm divine.
Dr. Marvin Dunn, I know many things have been said here that you are just bursting to ask some questions about. Let me turn to you.
Yeah, first of all, I want to pick up on Ed's point. When the Yahwehs were first brought to my attention some years ago, the thing that I found particularly offensive was what I read and interpreted rather clearly to be, frankly, anti-white hatred. And I was offended by that, and I think many people in our community were. But let me tell you what I like about the Yahwehs as well. And I've said this on other occasions. I think that this organization has done and is doing what many social scientists, such as myself, psychologists and others, have not been able to do in many, many years of trying. And that is to turn the lives of at least some people who may have come to them destitute, down and out, having given up on life, and having given them a purpose for living. That's a very, very major accomplishment, and credit ought to be given where credit is due. What the organization has done that I find offensive is to imbue in people a sense of I think, hatred and disrespect for others. And particularly in Miami, I think that's a problem. The other point that I would make in response to Yahweh ben Yahweh's comment is that I don't think that blacks in America we have our problems, but I'm not sure that we were in the spiritual grave requiring uplifting by someone, although this is a fairly common kind of a theme that you hear from cult leaders, and that's not an offense to Yahweh ben Yahweh or his group. Christianity started out as a cult, with people being prosecuted because they were members of it. But I don't agree that blacks were in need of the type of deliverance that Yahweh ben Yahweh believes that they have been in need of.
Let me ask you then. Dr. Dunn is saying you have helped some people recover their lives, you've given them purpose to their lives, and yet he is saying some of your writings, and in fact I would tend to agree, some of your writings seem to say they have recovered their lives at the expense of a more generous belief in white people or some other people as a whole. What is your response to that?
Well, first, we're not a down and out group in terms of those who have come to me. You will find that they were not destitute. We have a huge number of professional people, school teachers, we have doctors, lawyers. Everything that makes up for the structure of America are part of our group. I have not attracted the drug addict, the dope pusher, the alcoholic, and that constitutes my group, or prisoners from prison. On the issue of hate, it's impossible to teach anyone hate. The people that constitute the so-called black community are already frustrated and have already exhibited their hatred for oppression via riots and other elements of intimidation in this society.
Well, I guess the question, if I may interrupt, is, but do you further their own bitterness or hatred? Now, let me read you something that you allegedly said. The Miami Herald reported that you had said, and I'm quoting, "Yahweh gave our white enemies 6,000 years to rule good or bad. Their history proves them evil, wicked, liars, and murderers. This white man and his tricks must be removed." What, if not hatred, is that, if that's accurate?
All right, first of all, I have to say again that it's impossible for me to teach my followers and disciples hatred. You will find that by attracting this group with a statement like that, and then to see my results, the last 7 years of results of my people, my disciples, among the society in general, you'll find is pure peace. We get along amicably with all nations, all races, including white people. Our business in general is with white people. And I'm sure all of the accolades from those that do business with us would tell you that we're a wonderful group of people. We're not as that statement might appear. The reality of the statement is that we are an oppressed people. We have to face that reality.
You mean we as black people?
We as so-called black people in America have a history of slavery. And let me give it to you this way. When America teaches 1776 and fighting the war to free themselves from England, and this is taught in the public schools, it's not called hatred, it's called history. When in the public schools we learn about the Alamo, remember the Alamo, and there are movies coming up this week about that. It's not declared hatred, it's called history. You come right on through the wars, World War I, World War II, the Korean War. All of these things, they show these movies of death and destruction. They say, remember Pearl Harbor. Never once is it declared hatred. And the last point on this is, when the Jews speak of the Holocaust, and we're reminded of it every year, no one says that that's hatred. It's saying, remember, so that it can never happen again. And I declare that I have the same right under the Constitution in teaching the history of our people as all other groups teach theirs.
And I don't think anyone would deny you that right, and this country has had a long and shameful history of slavery, and if you were simply reminding your followers of some dates in which black people were brought here in ships and were enslaved, I don't think anyone denies you that right. I think that the real question is, are you perpetuating racial hatred with your teachings?
I think my disciples illustrate whether I am or not, and their lives and demonstrations within the community prove that that is not so.
Yes,
Yahweh ben Yahweh, I have to differ with you, and I agree with Dr. Dunn that the community of Yahweh has proven that when black people get together, they can do something for the betterment, or get themselves together, uplift themselves, as the Cubans have done down here, and you are doing by that example. Yet the people who I've known who have been Christians, so to speak, or people who have been out among the normal people who have become Yahwehs. We had an example right here at Channel 4, a gentleman who was quiet, unassuming, a large man, who all of a sudden, when he went into the Yahwehs, became a vicious person, literally. This was a brother of mine. He became a vicious person. He scared me. I didn't feel that he was attacking me, but he did scare and begin to intimidate white people in this company. And I'm sure out on the streets. It seems that you are taking the oppression that is within all of us who have this black skin and using it to further the Yahweh cause. By that example, you said that by the example that it's not there. I have seen it, sir.
I don't know who you're speaking about. I don't know this person. I'm sure, again, if you were to be in contact with my disciples and followers as I know them and as I teach, you don't find this example. The examples of hatred that you're talking about exist on the street generally in America, and I'm not here to address that. I'm teaching morality and promoting morality, goodness and justice and all that makes for a good citizen in America.
Well, Yahweh ben Yahweh, if I may, let me cite one name of somebody who has been a member of your sect who still may be, and that is, his Christian name was Robert Rozier. The name that you know him by, of course, is Nariah Israel. Now, he was arrested. He has been charged with murder in connection with the deaths of two men at an apartment complex in Opelika, which your group was going to take over and manage and run. What is the relationship between this man Rozier, as we know him, and the Yahwehs?
All right, first, there's a federal judge, the federal courts have declared that we are a religion, a bona fide religion. We believe in and practice the laws of the Bible, the laws of the Torah. We believe and practice the scriptures from Genesis to Revelations. And the same as any other religious group, people are free to come, people are free to go. And Nariah Israel is one that has come among us to glean of our teachings the same as anyone else has. He is presently in the hands of the judicial system, and he's one of us, and we're going to stand by him until he is proven guilty and all of his appeals are exhausted. America declares that a man is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So until that occurs, we will stand with him. Of course, we've taken property throughout the city and the country over the 7 years that we have been teaching here. We've updated it, made it beautiful, and in no instance has this occurred in the past, an incident like this.
Yes, all right. Well, the question I want to ask, and Dr. Dunn, I know you want to get in here in just a minute. The question, I guess it really is there any way, overtly, covertly, implicitly, explicitly, that Neriah Israel acted, if in fact he did act, and he is still a suspect, but is it possible that he acted somehow encouraged by your teachings?
I would not think so. It is impossible for me to compel anyone to do anything one way or the other. I teach the laws of Yahweh. And for example,
the laws of Yahweh preclude murder, taking another life?
Not in the sense that you're projecting it.
Well, what is your sense then?
As you project it in relationship to him, I don't have a sense about it. The laws of the Bible are clearly stated for all to read.
Yahweh in the Old Testament was an avenging God, though, wasn't he?
Well, he still is. I don't renounce the scriptures. I stand with the scriptures totally, 100%. The children of Israel needed a protector and a deliverer, and that's what we have today. We are the children of Israel in America today.
Dr. Dunn, you want to jump in here?
You would think, though, on a question as basic as whether murder is right or wrong, that you could get a straight answer from someone who purports to be the Son of God. I have no opinion about what happened. The courts will decide that. But it seems to me that the Yahwehs, after 7 years of being in Miami, have not attracted broad support from the black community. Maybe that's out of ignorance on the part of the black community from Yahweh ben Yahweh's point of view. Maybe it's because the black community is intelligent enough to recognize hatred and to reject it, as most intelligent people would. But I would wonder why, if after 7 years of teaching in Miami, why the group hasn't, in your opinion, gotten more support from the black community itself.
We have recently done a poll letter, a poll sheet, and we have mailed over 20,000 homes in this city, and we have received a total of 10 letters back that reject what we have to say. The police intelligence units in this city admit that I have over 4,000 followers. We're also intelligent enough to realize that every movement among our people to uplift us have been destroyed in the past. This one will not be. Our people work in the total community, and those of us that dress in white are somewhat like the nuns and the priests that are in the Catholic Church. We are committed, and those that don't wear white work among you. Some of them are working with you now, all over the city and the country.
And on that point, we're going to take a break. I would say that, of course, nuns and priests practice abstinence and celibacy and denial. I don't know if that's part of your faith, but we're going to find out. We'll be back with more questions for Yahweh ben Yahweh in just a moment. Welcome back to Newswatch. On this Sunday morning, we are speaking with Yahweh ben Yahweh. As we took a break, I, of course, said that in the Catholic Church that nuns and priests practice celibacy, abstinence, denial. You arrived in a gorgeous white stretch limousine. You are in resplendent robes. You have jewels. You have wonderful accoutrements. Is that doesn't look like denial to me?
Well, in the term of celibacy, no, Yahweh says in his word, Genesis 1:26-28, be fruitful and multiply. So I teach that we should be fruitful and multiply, and if you observe our schools and educational system, you'll see that we believe in children.
Yeah, if I may interrupt, and I want to go through a few of the basic tenets of your faith, but do you not have to bless each marriage that occurs between your members? Do they come to you for approval before there is a marriage of Yahweh members?
Oh no, we're married all over the country. Our people are married all over America.
I know, but do they need approval from you? Is the
no,
question.
They don't need approval, no, but I do bless them. I bless all marriages. And there was one thing I do want to cover. I don't want to leave it hanging in the air. I respect when one is making a statement and makes a question, I don't interrupt. But there was a thing
As
left
a pushy reporter, I'm afraid I break that tenet all the time. But go right ahead, all right. Dr. Dunn said something.
Dr. Dunn said something that he left in the air. I don't want to leave it in the air.
All right.
And the impression was about murder. I do not approve of murder. I'm against murder. And I'm against the wrongful taking of life by anyone and under all conditions.
I'm glad I didn't understand that, and excuse me for interrupting you, but I thought when the question was asked that a straightforward answer was not given, and I found that to be somewhat unsettling, particularly from you.
Yes. I just want to make clear that I believe in the scriptures from Genesis to Revelations, but at the same time, I don't want it left hanging that I believe in murder, because that certainly is not.
All right, well, let's go through a few of the other tenets of your faith. You believe that you are the lost tribe of Judah. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What is the basis for your belief?
The scriptures. Everything about the scriptures. When you research Judah, the knowledge of Judah. Judah was chosen to rule forever in 1 Chronicles 28:4 and 1 Chronicles 5:2. They're the chosen of Israel. Of all the tribes of Israel, Judah was chosen to be the ruler, and the scriptures state forever. When you go to Jeremiah 14:2, it gives you the color of Judah being black. That Judah is blackened to the ground. So here we have a people who are lost, preferably the lost tribe of Judah, to whom I am sent. I am sent in Matthew 15:24 to the lost sheep of the house of Israel to redeem them. And that's what I'm doing, and my work proves that.
All right, now it seems to me quite honestly that there's a paradox that somehow you bring in this book sitting here on the table in front of you, which you brought is the Holy Bible. How can a faith reconcile both the Holy Bible and the Torah?
It's a part of it. It's simply a part of it. The Torah is simply the first 5 books of the Old Testament.
Yeah, well, it does seem paradoxical somehow that you can believe in both. I mean, is one more divine than the other? Or?
No. Both are the words of Yahweh, the God of Israel.
Yahweh Ben Yahweh, we were talking about the poll that you were doing, and I want to send 2 things out to you and get your comments on it. I believe two of the reasons possibly that people might say the black community doesn't find itself a bond with the Yahwehs. One, a number of people who I know whose family members have become Yahwehs, the first complaint is that they lose contact with those family members. And the second thing, here you are, sir, saying, and I guess you have every right to say so, that you are the Messiah. You are dealing with a primarily Christian community that believes in one Jesus Christ, whatever color someone might want to paint him, as the true Messiah. And you are also taking, as these family members would say, their family members away from them, which would seem to hearken back to the days of slavery when the white man who enslaved us broke up the family unit. You are, I have no wonder that black people aren't coming in and joining in with the Yahweh unit. And one more thing, as I live in Liberty City and see your disciples and members of Yahweh coming into my neighborhood with their hands out, asking for donations, passing out literature, yet I don't see you on anywhere else out in my community doing something for that community that you seek tithes from.
Okay, I'll address both of those. Anytime what is perceived to be a new teaching comes about, people object to it throughout history, whatever it is. It's a free country. People make their minds up of their own volition to come and to accept the teachings of Yahweh, to follow the holy tenets of the Bible. There's no prohibition from any of us that someone can't be in touch with their families. We have found that it is the family members who have rejected us and who have separated themselves from our company. And in no instance do we separate ourselves from them. Our hands are always open to our family members, our relatives, our friends, our people, and then the community at large. Your second question, we've done the most remarkable thing above any organization among our people in regard to what is done with money that is taken up or collected or given. We are establishing a chain of 20 grocery stores this year across America. We'll be offering the best quality groceries for the less price, for a better price.
Excuse me for interrupting.
We will be competitive.
I'm sorry, again, that's my perspective as a reporter, but will those grocery stores be exclusively in black communities?
Certainly. We'll locate them in the ghetto, except one in Atlanta is in a periphery community. It's sort of a split community. It's in a white community. And the white community is just anxious to do business with us. That's the general consensus of all that are there, that we've talked with. And again, other things that we have done is we've opened businesses that all across the country that's open to the secular community, all of the community. We have upholstery shops, paint and body shops.
Where do the profits for these go?
It's all turned back into opening up more businesses to help our people become more self-sufficient,
so
independent, and to be a blessing to our people. We are buying apartment buildings.
Do your people share in the profits? I mean, this sounds like a capitalistic enterprise. Nothing wrong with that.
They share in the sense that it enhances all that we do. It enhances the need for employment in this country. We're an asset to America by opening businesses, and the community supports these businesses. And by the way, our hand is not simply out. We did do that. We did go around. But you'll find that we haven't been out in the community in that manner for over 2 months, demonstrating that our support is very solid, very solid.
Could I just comment, because on one occasion the organization was good enough to invite me for a tour, and I was impressed with what I saw. Disciplined, hard-working people, polite, courteous, the kinds of things that they were producing and what have you. I found that to be very, very complimentary, and certainly a part of that self-help philosophy, which I believe to be a part of your organization. And yet, there was a sense of being locked when I went into the temple, into the temple.
You are getting to a question that I was hoping we would have time to hear the answer to, but we do not. Yahweh ben Yahweh, thank you so much for coming. You're a fascinating man, and I hope we've been able to shed some light on you and the work that your people do. Ed O'Dowell, Dr. Marvin Dunn, thank you, and thank you for watching. I invite you to join me here again next week on Newswatch for another Newsmaker. Until then, I'm Michael Putney. Have a good day and a great week.